what I was going to ask you is, I don't know if you remember the details on your first deal. I always like to get into that because I know that's a big, I think that once people get their first deal, it becomes easier to get their second and third deal. It doesn't have to be precise. If you found it on the MLS, if you found it direct to owner, and just what you guys did with it, if you guys flipped it, if you guys made money, if you guys lost money. If you have any details on that, I think that always helps the audience somehow.
Okay, so let's go into it somewhat. So the first deal we did was a flip deal.
Uh-huh.
So our first, you have to understand our first, while we were flipping and wholesaling, our first idea was to take what we know about house lifting. So we would take these Cape Cods, these
Mhm,
flood ravaged homes,
mhm,
and lift them out of the BFE, the base flood elevation.
mhm,
Not only add what we would do, we would lift it up and then add a garage, and that would take it up above the base flood elevation,
mhm.
where the insurance was a lot cheaper and people could live their lives not having to worry, or not as much, that their home would flood. So our idea was to take the house up once and then take it up again.
Wow.
We would add a new first floor,
Uh-huh.
and we would have a garage under it, essentially turning a Cape Cod, a single story home, into a colonial. So this would become like a three-story home, and we could add like more bathrooms, we could add more bedrooms. I mean, the value that we were able to add was phenomenal. So this is actually what we did with our first few projects. So I
Wow.
don't remember the actual
You
numbers,
know.
and I apologize for that. But this first deal, the one thing that I want your listeners to learn from this is we jumped in too quickly without really understanding how much time it was going to take. You have to
Mm,
understand, back in at that time, New Jersey, the Jersey Shore, actually much of the East Coast was ravaged by Sandy.
mhm.
So these towns that had like maybe like, I don't know, 10 to 12 permit applications maybe per week, we're now having like 50, 100 permit applications because there are so many people trying to repair their homes, trying to get like the simplest things done, and they could not keep up. So what should have taken us at most 6 months to complete, it took us a year. It took us a year to complete the entire flip. So time is money. We still made money on the project, but not nearly as much as we should have.
Yeah, that is so important to recognize that, and
Yeah.
for people to realize that sometimes projects, and there's holding costs, sometimes people think that you just buy a property and sell it, but they don't take a look at the holding costs associated with
Yes.
a project. That's interesting. Okay, cool.